Ever wondered what really happens behind the scenes when you board a flight? Buckle up because today we're revealing 15 shocking secrets airlines don't want you to know. 1. Pilots fall asleep, and sometimes both of them. Did you know that up to 56% of pilots admit they've fallen asleep mid-flight? And here's the scary part. Some of them wake up only to realize their co-pilot is asleep too. Long-haul flights can last over 14 hours, and despite strict rest regulations, pilots often suffer from fatigue due to long shifts, irregular sleep schedules, and time zone changes. Now, before you panic, most modern aircraft have an autopilot system that handles much of the flight. But pilots are still needed to monitor instruments, adjust for turbulence, and, actually land the plane. 2. Your oxygen mask only lasts 15 minutes. If the cabin suddenly loses pressure while flying, oxygen masks will drop. But here's something most people don't realize. They only provide 15 minutes of oxygen. Now, this isn't because airlines are being cheap. It's because at cruising altitudes of 30,000 to 40,000 feet, the air outside is so thin that you wouldn't be able to breathe. Without oxygen, you could start losing consciousness in less than a minute. That's why pilots immediately begin an emergency descent to 10,000 feet, where the air is thick enough to breathe naturally. The 15-minute oxygen supply is just there to keep you alert until the plane reaches that safe level. 3. Dead bodies are on your flight, more often than you think. Many commercial flights regularly transport dead bodies in the cargo hold. Yep, you heard that right. Airlines have a special code name for this. If you ever hear a flight crew mention a Jim Wilson transfer, chances are there's a deceased passenger flying with you. Why does this happen? Well, when someone passes away far from home, their remains need to be transported back to their family for burial. And since flying is the fastest way to travel, many airlines offer specialized services for transporting human remains. 4. The water on planes might not be as clean as you think. You might want to think twice before drinking coffee or tea on a plane. Why? Because the water used for it may not be as clean as you'd expect. Some studies have found traces of bacteria, including E. coli, in airplane water tanks. Now, this doesn't mean every airline has contaminated water, but the tanks that store it aren't cleaned as frequently. Even some flight attendants admit they avoid drinking coffee or tea on flights, opting for bottled beverages instead. 5. Planes fly with broken parts all the time. You might assume that every plane is in perfect condition before takeoff, but that's not always the case. Airlines operate under something called a minimum equipment list, which means a plane can still fly even if certain parts aren't working, as long as they're not considered critical for safety. This could include faulty sensors, inoperative seatbelt signs, or even a non-working backup system. The idea is to keep flights running on schedule rather than grounding a plane for minor issues. 6. Criminals are sometimes on your flight. Ever sat close to a suspicious-looking passenger? Well, there's a chance you could be flying with a convicted criminal. Many people don't realize this, but law enforcement agencies, including U.S. Marshals and other international authorities, sometimes transport prisoners on regular commercial flights instead of using private planes. This is often done for cost efficiency, and as long as the prisoner isn't considered a high-risk threat, they're seated in economy class right alongside regular passengers. 7. Pilots can lock themselves in the cockpit. After 9/11, airlines introduced reinforced cockpit doors that can be completely locked from the inside to prevent hijackings. But this has also led to unexpected risks. These doors have a security keypad for authorized crew members, but pilots inside can override any access attempts. Once locked, no one can enter unless the pilot allows it. This became a serious issue in 2015 when a Germanwings Flight 9525 co-pilot locked himself in and deliberately crashed the plane into the French Alps, killing 150 people. So while cockpit security is meant to protect the plane, it also raises the question, who protects the passengers if the threat comes from the inside? 8. Your plane might not have enough extra fuel. Did you know that airlines don't always fill up the fuel tanks completely? To save money and reduce weight, planes typically carry just enough fuel for the trip, plus a small reserve for contingencies including unexpected weather changes, air traffic delays, or diversions to another airport. But here's the catch. These reserves are often kept to the bare minimum to reduce costs and maximize efficiency. If a pilot declares a mayday due to low fuel, that means they have less than 30 minutes of flying time left. At that point, they need to land immediately. 9. Airplane cabins are germ hotspots. Brace yourself, tray tables, seat belts, and armrests are filthy. Studies have found that airplane tray tables can have more bacteria than a public restroom. Yes, even more than a toilet seat. And it's not just tray tables, seat belts, armrests, and even air vents are crawling with germs. Why are airplanes so dirty? Well, flight crews don't always have time for a deep clean between flights. Planes often land, unload passengers, and take off again within 30 to 60 minutes, meaning only a quick surface wipe is done, if at all. 10. Flight attendants get priority in emergencies. In extreme emergencies, flight attendants are trained to get themselves out first. This isn't about them abandoning passengers, it's actually a critical safety procedure. Flight attendants are responsible for managing chaotic evacuation scenarios, and if they get injured or trapped, they won't be able to assist or direct passengers to safety. Studies show that passengers tend to panic in emergencies, and without clear leadership, evacuations can turn deadly. That's why attendants are trained to exit first. 11. The cabin lights. Dim for emergency reasons. Ever noticed how the cabin lights dim before landing at night? It's not for ambiance or to help you fall asleep. It's actually a safety measure designed to help your eyes adjust to the darkness. So if there's an emergency and you need to evacuate, you can see clearly right away. If the light stayed bright and the power suddenly went out, your eyes would need precious seconds to adjust to the dark. In an emergency, every second counts. 12. Pilots get special meals. Pilots and co-pilots never eat the same meal. It's not about personal preference, it's actually a strict aviation safety rule. If one of them gets food poisoning, the other can still take control and safely land the plane. This might sound extreme, but it has happened before. In 1982, on a flight from Boston to Lisbon, the pilot and many passengers became violently ill after eating contaminated food. Fortunately, the co-pilot had eaten a different meal and was able to land the plane safely. 13. Why airlines insist on airplane mode. Let's clear this up. Your phone won't make a plane fall out of the sky, but that doesn't mean it's completely harmless. Pilots have reported hearing loud buzzing, static, or high-pitched interference in their headsets. This can make it harder for them to receive critical instructions from air traffic control. Airplane radios operate on very specific frequencies, and while modern technology has improved signal protection, hundreds of passengers with active phones can still create enough interference to be a distraction. A pilot missing an instruction because of interference, not a risk worth taking. 14. The flight crew uses secret codes for passengers. Ever heard crews say something that sounded off? Well, chances are they're using secret codes to talk about passengers. For example, code ATOM means a missing child on board, or hot refusal, a drunk passenger who's been cut off from alcohol service. And it doesn't stop there. Some airlines use code Bravo to alert crew about a security threat without scaring passengers. So if you hear something strange, just know they might be talking about you. 15. The bathroom door can be unlocked from the outside. Think you have total privacy in the airplane bathroom? Think again. Most people don't realize this, but there's a hidden latch right under the no smoking sign that allows the flight crew to unlock the door from the outside. This isn't just some invasion of privacy. It's actually there for safety reasons. If a passenger loses consciousness, experiences a medical emergency, or, let's be honest, tries to do something they're not supposed to, the crew needs to be able to get inside quickly. Now that you know these hidden flight secrets, your next trip might feel a little different. So, which of these secrets shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe for more crazy facts. See you in the next video.